Shalom, shalom, guys. Jeff from Team Safeguarding, Pastor Jeff. Any title is okay. God has been good. I want to thank God because of today. I want to thank God because of you and your family. Today we have a video that we want to showcase. It's about a great king. Here we're not talking about God. We're talking about an earthly king. It is about a king who asked God for something that was very beautiful. Unajua watu wengi wakiulizwa wakiulizwa ni nini unataka Mungu akufanyie, they say they want riches. But have you considered this king called King Solomon? He was mtoto wa one king that God loved. One king that God alisema, this is a man after my own heart. King David. God said that. King David was a man after God's own heart. So, mtoto wake King Solomon, wakati alikuwa anaendelea kukua king, aliulizwa na Mungu anataka nini. Na kulikuwa seme pesa ama riches ama nini. He asked for wisdom. And God gave and granted this man his wish, and he gave him wisdom. It is said that King Solomon is or has been one of the wisest people that ever lived on planet Earth. Na wakati akianzia alifanya a lot of great things in his kingdom. Alifanya mambo mazuri sana kama kufanya kesi za mtoto ambaye alikuwa anataka kukatwa mara mbili. And that is a story within the Bible that is really shown that indeed this man had a lot of wisdom. Mungu alimpatia. Of course, he went on to become, because of the wisdom that God gave him, he went on to become the most richest king, or rather the person that ever lived. I think it is believed that probably hakuna mtu anaweza kufikia ile riches King Solomon alikuwa naye. The man was so rich that, yes, hata hawa watu wa siku hizi hawa wako na trillions, it's nothing like what King Solomon had. So, but anyway, this man then went on and moved away from God. And he then did all sorts of things with women. Sadly, wanawake walimuangusha. This man, the Bible records that he had 700 wives. My friend, sio tano ama saba ama 70, 700. 7, 1, 2, 3, 600, 699, 700 wives. Who you know? Ni nani unajua huyu ambaye anaweza kuwa na 700 wives? Now, beside these 700 wives, inasemekana alikuwa na side chicks. Ama what we call, then they used to call concubines. Concubines ilikuwa ni mwanamke ule ambaye hajatolewa mahari. Mwanamke ule ambaye they are not known. Bride price has not been paid for them. Or a church wedding or whatever ceremony has not been done. But you are women. You are intimately with them. They used to be called concubines. The current lingo is side chicks. So alikuwa na 700 wives and 300 concubines. So I'm asking myself, kwani huyu jamaa, this king, 700 wives is more than any women that anybody would want to have? Why are you also having these 300 concubines? So definitely it is clear that with King Solomon, this goes beyond wanting a wife. There was a demon spirit that was tormenting this king, that lured him into something to do with a woman body, that cost him his kingdom. Today we have a video that we are going to borrow from Bible Tales. It's a beautiful presented video, and I want you to listen to what this video is about. It's talking about King Solomon. This man, or this king that had 700 wives and 300 concubines. In total, he had 1,000 women. And that's probably the ones that were known or recorded. Maybe there were more that weren't recorded or known. So this video is encouraging somebody today that surely King Solomon, this gentleman that had 1,000 women, can have something that he can share with us. An insight about issues that a man should think about before you get hooked up or before you get married. Now, on this instance, King Solomon is talking about a woman, but I also want us to relate this also on the other side of men. Similarly, the same way he was talking about women, definitely they are the same way. There are men like that. So see it from both angles. So let us watch this video, and I pray that you're going to understand, especially for you who is not married and you who is trusting God for a relationship or to marry somebody, or who is trusting God to be married by somebody. This video is critical you listen to, ili uweze kujua jinsi Solomon aliweza kutoa hii insight. At the end of his life, Solomon looked at everything. Alikuwa na, there's nobody on earth that will ever have 1,000 wives. Women. I don't think there is. But also, I don't think there's anybody that will ever be that rich. But after everything, this man looked and said, vanity for vanity. Everything that he had, he acquired, he did, it was vanity. So, I think tunaweza kuborrow some few insight from him. On the other hand, fikiria kuhusu his ability to have a wife, and because he had 1,000 women. Anyway, God bless you so much. Let's get into this video.
Solomon warned us never to trust a woman who does this. Apart from the special honor you must accord to the Word of God, which was written by divine inspiration, when experienced people speak about a matter, wisdom demands that you pay attention to it. Today, we want to study the kind of woman you should never trust. Although several scriptures warn us against ungodly women, we will give special consideration to the warnings of Solomon. At the end of this video, we will look at what a godly woman looks like. When it comes to experience with women, Solomon is a good teacher. Of all the kings that ever lived, no one had the record of marrying up to 700 wives and 300 concubines. Solomon altogether had marital connections with 1,000 women. At the end of his life, he wrote the famous verse of the scripture that says, "Vanity upon vanity." Solomon sold himself to pleasure with women, but his actions only amounted to foolishness. When such a man speaks of the kind of woman you should never trust, you should listen aptly. In the same breath, when such a man speaks of the kind of woman you should look for and trust, you should also listen aptly. In the book of Proverbs, King Solomon offers us his advice on the qualities we should look for in a wife. He tells us that a virtuous woman is worth far more than rubies, that she is hard-working, and that she's a good manager of her household. He also tells us that a good wife is trustworthy, loving, and kind, and that she is a source of joy and blessing to her husband. In the book of Ecclesiastes, King Solomon tells us that he had many wives and concubines, but he also admits that he made mistakes in his choices. He warns us not to be led astray by beauty or charm, but to seek a woman of good character, intelligence, and kindness. He advises us to look beyond outward appearances and to choose a woman who is loyal, trustworthy, and shares our values and beliefs. My dear brothers and sisters, King Solomon's advice is as relevant today as it was in his time. Choosing the right partner is one of the most important decisions we will make in our lives, and it is a decision that will affect us for years to come. Let's study the Proverbs of Solomon concerning the kinds of women you should never trust or allow into your life. The dangers of the immoral woman. Proverbs chapter 23, verses 27 and 28. For a harlot is a deep pit, and a seductress is a narrow well. She also lies in wait as for a victim and increases the unfaithful among men. In this passage, King Solomon speaks of two types of women, the harlot and the wayward wife. Both are dangerous and have the potential to lead men astray. The harlot is compared to a deep pit, a place of danger and darkness. She is also compared to a bandit who lies in wait, ready to pounce on unsuspecting men. The wayward wife, on the other hand, is compared to a narrow well. This well may seem inviting and refreshing at first, but it is ultimately a place of danger and death. She is also a multiplier of unfaithful among men, spreading her influence and leading others down a path of destruction. King Solomon's warning is clear. Sexual immorality can lead us down a path of destruction. It can destroy our relationships, our families, and our lives. it can also have far-reaching consequences, affecting not only ourselves, but those around us. A perfect example of the type of woman spoken of in Proverbs chapter 23, verses 27 to 28, is Potiphar's wife. Potiphar's wife is a character in the Bible, and her story serves as a warning to all of us about the dangers of sexual temptation and the consequences of giving into it. Potiphar's wife was the wife of Potiphar, an Egyptian official who was in charge of Pharaoh's palace guard. The Bible tells us that she was attracted to Joseph and repeatedly tried to seduce him. However, Joseph refused her advances, saying, "How then could I do such a wicked thing and sin against God?" We know that Joseph lived in Potiphar's house for 11 years, and Potiphar's wife repeatedly tried to seduce him. This could have lasted for 11 years of Joseph resisting temptation. Genesis chapter 39, verse 8. Despite Joseph's refusal, Potiphar's wife continued to pursue him. One day she cornered him and tried to force herself on him. Joseph managed to escape, leaving behind his cloak in her hands. She then falsely accused him of attempting to make sport of her. We can learn many lessons from both Potiphar's wife and Joseph. Lessons we can learn from Potiphar's wife. The wrong people will accuse you and try to send you to your death when you are innocent and haven't done anything wrong. Unfortunately, there are men and women exactly like Potiphar's wife. I wish the world was a place where everyone was honest and did not bear false witness against one another, but that is simply not the world we live in. In the day and age of Joseph and Potiphar's wife, the punishment was brutal, and the life of a slave like Joseph was worthless. Therefore, Potiphar's wife knew her accusation would practically mean a death sentence for Joseph. Yet she still went ahead and lied about this honorable man simply because he did not bend to her will. Women like this still exist, and equally, men exactly like Potiphar's wife still exist. Because you didn't do what they wanted you to do, they will not hesitate to send you to your grave. Potiphar's wife is a warning to all of us about the dangers of sexual temptation. She was a woman driven by her own lustful desires and was willing to use her power and influence to get what she wanted. She was willing to destroy another person's life to satisfy her own lustful desires. She was willing to send Joseph to his grave to satisfy her own lustful desires. As Christians, we are called to live lives of purity and holiness, to avoid sexual immorality, and to honor God with our bodies. This means that we must be careful about the company we keep and the choices we make. Potiphar's wife serves as a warning to us about the dangers of sexual temptation and the consequences of giving into it. We must be on guard against the temptations that come our way and resist them with all our might. We must also be careful about the company we keep and the people we associate with because, truth be told, there are still Potiphar's wives in this world, both male and female. To think there are not is to be naive. She was a married woman attempting to commit adultery with someone. No concern for her husband, no concern for her marriage, and no concern for human life. Potiphar's wife had an evil character. This is why she is a perfect example of the type of woman spoken of in Proverbs chapter 23, verses 27 and 28. Potiphar, when selecting his wife, clearly did not focus on character. Be concerned with the character of the people you choose to interact with. Lessons we can learn from Joseph. Joseph's resistance to temptation is a powerful example for all of us. It reminds us that no matter how strong the temptation may be, we always have a choice. We can choose to give in to our desires and indulge in sin, or we can choose to resist temptation and honor God with our bodies and our actions. Potiphar's wife could have attempted to seduce Joseph for a span of 11 years. However, Joseph remained faithful. He did not fall into youthful lusts. I'm sure Potiphar's wife would have been an attractive woman, but he resisted the temptation. We always have a choice. Genesis chapter 39, verse 8. But he refused and said to his master's wife, "Look, my master does not know what is with me in the house, and he has committed all that he has to my hand." In response to Potiphar's wife's advances, Joseph remembered how much he had to lose. The truth is, today, every single person listening to me right now, young and old, has much to lose. married or single, has much to lose by giving in to temptation and falling for the wrong person. That temptation is not worth losing your marriage or putting your children through a divorce. That temptation is not worth losing your innocence or your ability to serve the Lord. Dealing with the wrong person cost Samson his life. This is serious. What will it cost you? Now that we have looked at the kind of woman you must avoid as a man and the type of woman you must refuse to be as a woman, let us now see a few examples of the kind of woman the Bible recommends to look for and the type of woman females should strive to be. There are some wonderful, God-fearing, honest, kind women in the world. If you are married to one or if your child is one of them, cherish her and love her. It is a lie straight from the depths of hell that there are no longer any wonderful women. They are there. God hasn't stopped creating his wonderful daughters. The gracious woman, Proverbs chapter 11, verse 16. A gracious woman retains honor, and strong men retain riches. A gracious woman is kind, polite, and courteous. She's the type of woman that suits every Christian man for marriage. Although there is a high level of decadence in our society, God still preserves godly daughters for his sons. If you allow God to lead you, he will bring to your path a gracious woman. Proverbs chapter 18, verse 22 reminds us that a good wife is a favor every man should receive from the Lord. A gracious woman will not dishonor her husband, as Vashti did to King Xerxes. She is polite and supports the vision of her husband, unlike Jezebel, who stirred Ahab to do evil before the Lord. A gracious woman supports her husband to serve the Lord. In this proverb, we see a beautiful truth that is still relevant today. It tells us that a woman who is gracious, who embodies kindness, elegance, and refinement, will retain honor. But what does it mean to be gracious? To be gracious means to be kind and considerate towards others, to be polite and respectful in our interactions, to show compassion and empathy towards those around us. Graciousness is a quality that reflects the love of Christ, and it is a virtue that is becoming increasingly rare in our world today. The proverb tells us that a gracious woman will retain honor. Honor is a word that carries a lot of weight. It refers to a deep sense of respect and esteem that we hold for someone who has distinguished themselves through their character, actions, and reputation. Honor is a precious commodity that is hard to earn, but easy to lose. The virtuous woman, Proverbs chapter 31, verses 10 and 11. Who can find a virtuous woman? For her price is far above rubies. The heart of her husband doth safely trust in her, so that he shall have no need of spoil. To be virtuous means to have excellent moral character. The price of a virtuous woman is far above gold and silver. She can win the trust of her husband. The proverb tells us that the heart of her husband safely trusts in her, so that he shall have no need of spoil. This woman is a source of security and trust for her husband, and he can rely on her completely. She is a woman of great worth, and her value is not measured by material possessions but by her character, actions, and love. This woman is virtuous, which means she embodies the highest moral and ethical values. She is honest, trustworthy, and upright in all her dealings. She is kind and compassionate towards others and serves her family and community with a generous and loving heart. She is a woman of faith, and her life is rooted in her relationship with God. The proverb also tells us that her price is far above rubies. Rubies are precious gems, but the value of this woman cannot be compared to any material possession. Her worth is immeasurable and is derived from the beauty of her character, the purity of her heart, and the depth of her love. My dear sisters, let us all strive to be like this virtuous woman. Let us aspire to embody the highest moral and ethical values and be honest, trustworthy, and upright in all our dealings. Let us show kindness and compassion to those around us and serve our families and communities with a generous and loving heart. Let us be women of faith, and let our lives be rooted in our relationship with God. There are still wonderful, godly women in the world, and as a man, you should strive to look for her, and as a woman, you should strive to be her. Thank you for watching. We believe you have learned something new today. God bless you. Amen.
Thank you so much, guys. I pray umeweza kuona your video, and I pray you have drawn in some good things So tafadhali, kama wewe umeolewa ama wewe umeoa, take something from this video. Na kama kuna mambo kama hayo wewe huwa unafanya, badilika. Love God, love your wife, love your husband, love your family. Change for the better. If you are not married and definitely you want to be married or you are going to marry, I think this video is critical. You now have an understanding of what you need to look into, what you need to think, how you need to prepare yourself before you get married or you be married to somebody. God bless you so much, guys. Please subscribe, tear your comment and share this video to somebody and let it become a blessing to somebody. We thank God because of Bible Tales for borrowing this video. See you very soon in our next video.